buying a secondhand telescope, whether it's going to be your first or whether you are looking to upgrade, is surprisingly difficult unless you are extremely knowledgeable about the field. The problem is you can't just go and say, oh, that brand and that brand and that brand is good, because even some of the brands that make some of the best telescopes on the market, you will sometimes also see them produce what's essentially just garbage. So you can't just shop by brand, and therefore you have to look for other clues. We're going to look at some concrete listings, and we're going to talk about like what to look for and what to avoid. But first, I just want to give you a few pieces of advice of where to actually look. Because the natural thing people will do is they go to places like, I don't know, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. These places where people sell their stuff secondhand. The problem is, while the volume there is big, there's a lot of different equipment available, the overall quality is really, really poor. You're gonna have a hard time like going through the pile of garbage telescopes to find those hidden gems. And again, if you're not knowledgeable about the field, that is really difficult. So my first recommendation is actually go and look for your local astronomy club. We have sites in Denmark like online forums for astronomers and astrophotographers where people often also sell their equipment. While the volume in these sites are a lot lower than you would find on these larger platforms, my experience is that you overall almost always get a pretty good telescope out of those sites. And if it is one of those garbage telescopes, people are probably going to call it out in the comment section below the post. Here I found a listing for a telescope. This is a telescope here from Skywatcher, as you can see here. Skywatcher is a very reputable brand. They make good telescopes overall. And so you might think, okay, good brand. This is a very, very cheap telescope, by the way. But the problem with this one is, look at that mount there. Now, normally if you ask people like what you should go for, people will say spend around 80% of your budget on the mounting and the rest of the telescope. Now, that might strictly not be true if you go to the really cheap ones, but if you begin to go up to just like slightly above the cheapest telescopes, then yes, that is true. You should really be spending the majority of your money on the mount, because you can have the best optics in the world, but if you can't keep that steady, if you can't point at what you want to look at, it doesn't matter. So it's much better to have a stable mount with slightly smaller telescope than to end up having a great telescope on a terrible mount. Really look at that. And this one here, this is just a plastic fork. It's just friction like held in place, and you can even see if you spot this bar here, you can see it there. We could also see it on the previous picture there. If you spot that, avoid at all cost, because this bar is really only there because the mount is inadequate for the telescope, so they put that in there to kind of help stabilize it a little bit, but it doesn't do a very good job. Avoid this if you can at all. Here's another example. This one is actually listed for almost the same price as the other telescope, but this is a much, much better deal. So, first of all, what we note here is that the mount here, this is what's called an equatorial mount. These can be a little bit more difficult to use for first-time users, but some of the things that I notice here is those little handles here, and there's probably the other one is there. You can see those. Those are meant to be turning the telescope. But that means you can actually, just by turning these, you can move the telescope around and make fine adjustments. And that meant they actually spent more time and effort on the mounting system for this than they did on the previous one. Now, these mounts here are probably not going to be something you're going to be doing photography with, but it actually has, if we just jump over there, oh, that picture there, you can see that box there. That's actually a motor on one of the axes that basically allows it to track the stars automatically if you aligned it correctly, which is going to be difficult if you're completely new to this. I understand that, but again, this is actually a great deal for the price that it is listed for. Look at this. So I said the other listing was a good deal. I just made a list of before actually recording this. It was like weeks ago, and I made the list of telescopes I want to highlight in this video. And now I just saw this one. This is the same telescope, not just the same model, but this is the same telescope that's just been listed for like almost 4 times the original price of what it was listed for. I'm pretty certain that this is the exact same telescope, because if you look there where the ring kind of holds on to the telescope, is at the exact same spot. And for the exact same telescope to be like listed so shortly after each other. The other one is sold now. Yeah, this is the same one. They literally just snatched it up and resold it right away again. Now, I just wanted to show you that you don't necessarily have to go for those equatorial mounts where it's all weird, because if you are doing visual, having this type of mount, which is called an alt-azimuth mount, where the telescope is just either moves up or side to side, it's often a lot easier for people to manage if you're going to use the hobby. But again, look, there's been spent a lot more energy on this this mount here. There's a lot more like metal there to hold the telescope, and we can even see the telescope actually now sitting in a decent position. I would be a lot more comfortable with this. This is also a lot more expensive than what we were looking at before. And we can see once again we are from Skywatcher, same brand as the first one we looked at. This comes with a suitcase, which again highlights the point. Where was the image of the suitcase? There. Highlights the point. Again, how was the telescope stored? It's a very good chance we can see the dust covers on here in the front. It's probably been stored inside this suitcase when not in use. This is great news. That indicates that this has been taken well care of. And I think we saw a picture. Oh, we could just see it there on the back. That little white thing there, that's the plug for the end. That means it's been stored with that as well. So that means that the optics in this telescope is likely in pristine condition. And we can see a very blurry image of it. It's very difficult to take good pictures of optics of like lenses, because how do you focus on something that's transparent? But overall, this actually looks okay. Here's another funny one. Look at this. We once again have one of those very, very cheap equatorial mounts. See if they actually posted a picture of it. This one. These are very cheap. Man, they're probably gonna be fine to a starter. I would probably consider going with something a little bit stronger than this. But what I really found funny about this telescope is, look how it's mounted all the way to the back. There's no way. Normally what you would do is you need to make sure that, if you go back to one of the first pictures here, that the telescope is balanced around the middle of these two rings here, so that there's equal mass on both sides. Clearly they are not here, so they don't really know what they've been dealing with. And you can also see that they put the telescope, they put this all the way down. Normally this axis here that runs like through, imagine a line going in here, going through this, coming out over here. That line there should point at Polaris, but it seems like they didn't really know what to do with it, or maybe it's because the counterweight is missing in this case here, because normally these kind of things should actually have a counterweight. Oh, there is a counterweight. It is there. Okay, so they just didn't know what they were really doing with it, so they just put it into basically alt-azimuth mode and used it as an alt-azimuth mount instead of a German equatorial. Talk of the devil, look at that. There it is. That's one of them. I found one. backwards eyepiece there. Red dot finder. Do we get? Yeah. So this is not a finder scope. This is called a red dot sight. It's basically the same that some people would put on the top of like a gun. And you would look into it in this direction, like from here, and then look in there, and there'll be a little red dot, and you line that red dot up with the star you want to look at, and then you know the telescope is aligned if they if they align these two things to each other. But in this case, they put it on backwards. So again, I'll probably promise you that this has not been used a lot. Ooh, look at this. I know this is way outside like what people would normally buy, but these Meade LX90s are very popular. They have these like glass plates on the front that help with reduced coma. And this one even comes with a GPS module, so the telescope knows where it is. It has a finder scope on the side as well, so very good planetary scope, and some of the Orion even. Guys, there is no way. What is this? 2000? What's the focal length of this? Yeah, focal length, 2000 millimeters. There is no way this image, unless this is a mosaic, there's no way they took. I mean, I can like Jupiter, Mars. Yeah, I believe that's taken with this telescope. That one I might believe too. This one, there's no way they took Orion with this telescope, unless they did a very, very aggressive mosaic. Let's just check this. Hold on. Orion Nebula. Here we have the Orion Nebula. We can see that's the one lobe. There's the other lobe that they had in the image that they showed. And this is with 2000. And this is with, let's put a full frame camera on it. This is probably as wide as it's gonna go. So this is about as wide as you're ever gonna get
with that telescope. And I don't even think you would be able to fit a full frame on that. I mean, you'd probably have to go into a crop sensor. So then it looks something like this. And you can see that's going to be a very... Okay, maybe they did a large mosaic of it and took Orion with it. I think they used something else. Unless they used... Yeah, I don't know. There is very little wear and tear on telescopes, right? I mean, it's optics. There are, of course, some wear and tear inside the mechanism. And if you are buying a computerized telescope, make sure you move that thing around with the remote so you can see it move, see all the motors are working, listen for any kind of like clunky noises or anything that doesn't sound right. The thing should be moving smoothly in all directions and at a constant speed when you give it commands to do so. If it doesn't, then it does automatic walk away.
Now, once you find a listing you like, I want to give you some concrete red flags to look for, and definitely something that you just should walk away from. First of all, if you show up, or if you can see in the pictures that there is any kind of physical damage, I'm not talking like smudges or small scratches or normal, wear and tear. That's fine. But if the optical tube, the tube that actually holds the mirrors or the lens, is in any way out of shape, then you walk right away. Even though all the optics and they say, oh, it's just a small thing. No, you walk. If that thing is bent, you're out of there. And I'll tell you why. It is super easy that if the telescope was dropped or has received a large hit, that a lens can be put out of angle, slightly out of shape. You can get what's called pinched optics, where the optical tube, because it's out of shape, is pinching on the lenses themselves or the mirrors, slightly altering their shape, which is going to affect the optical performance of the telescope. So physical damage is, for me, a big no-no. If I see that, I walk, because all you're going to buy is frustration. Now, as we already talked about, the mounting for the telescope is oh so ever important for your enjoyment of the hobby. So when you're out there and you're looking at a telescope, try to just see if there's any play in the mounting for the telescope. If there is, I would probably give that a pass. Another really easy test is just to take the telescope, point it in a random direction, and let go. The telescope should be able to keep that position on its own. If it can't do that, and I've seen that, then walk away, because then the mounting is just not big enough or not strong enough to actually hold the mount. And if it's one of those situations where, oh, you need to point it here and then you need to tighten that knob and tighten that knob, no. The telescope, you need to point in the direction, let go, and it should stay there. Another thing to look for is the focuser itself. Try to just rack the focuser all the way to one end and all the way to the other, just to feel how it operates. It should be smooth through the entire range of motion for the focuser. Keep in mind that for some telescopes, the focuser might not actually move as you turn it. It depends on the design of the telescope. But for most telescopes, what you will see is that when you turn the focuser is that there's going to be a physical movement of the place where you put the eyepiece in. And the final piece of advice is seek help from experienced people. This channel, we have a Discord server. This is like an online community where you can come and you can ask about, hey, I saw this listing. What do you guys think of it? Is it good? Is it bad? And also try to get help getting the right telescope for your use case, because not all telescopes are good in all situations. And finally, of course, if you do get hooked with this hobby, consider going and buying my book, The Cosmic Field Guide. This is the thing that supports and funds this channel. And this book contains useful graphs and tables where you can see when it's going to be dark enough for you to go and observe, depending on where you live in the world. There are challenges, there are lists of when you can see meteor showers, lists of some of the easiest objects so you can photograph with your telescope, where they're located, which is good in the north and southern hemisphere. All those kind of things you can find in the book, Cosmic Field Guide. Go and check it out on deepspacebooks.com. I got a new telescope and I have been dying to show this to you guys. And if everything feels done, I got it. Take a look at this. I just put it in the trunk. It's a beauty. 8-inch